I stand before you today to share critical information about our campus safety efforts, our communication process, and our housing policies.
Yeah, campus safety efforts, housing policies, and communications. Three big topics we have been asking questions about for a week. Today marks 7 full days since a 14-year-old boy was shot and killed there on the UNM campus. And ever since last Friday, it's not just our team that's been asking some of those questions. You, too, have been wondering what happened then and what happens next. We are covering every angle of the story for you tonight. Our Cassie Foote and Zach Rael are going to be joining us from UNM. Let's start off with Zach. So you pressed campus police and the administration on the details of what happened last week, but also how the 3 people who were not UNM students were able to be on the campus in the middle of the night.
Yeah, Trevor, that's right. This was the first time that university officials have made themselves available to answer our questions, but we really didn't learn a whole lot of new information about the actual investigation itself. As far as what actually happened last Friday, campus police dodged all of our questions, reverting back to the basic answer that the investigation is ongoing and they are working with New Mexico State Police. UNM PD also wouldn't answer my question on if there was an RA or anyone in charge of students that were staying in the housing where the shooting took place when that shooting happened.
It's premature to construct a narrative that does not rely on complete and substantiated account of the events.
Now, UNM communications officials did reach back out and confirm that RAs are staffed during the summer in student housing. They just didn't know if there was actually one there on the Friday of the shooting. Instead, though, university leaders wanted to talk about safety improvements that they have made over the past 5 years to protect students and staff. They say that there have been over $20 million in improvements to security cameras, lighting, and building access. They did acknowledge, though, that there are many improvements that can still be made. One of those being who is allowed in student housing. We know that there were 3 people involved in Friday's shooting who were not students here at UNM. Administrators say that there is some confusion over who can and cannot be in student housing. They are also reviewing the process of how they can keep track of who is actually inside of their buildings.
The current handbook says that guests must be UNM students, but then it defines a guest as someone who is spending the night or has put their belongings in a room. We know that, at least for the residential life housing, that guests who are visitors are not allowed if they're non-UNM students. There is a practice, but we're still kind of investigating what are the practices across all of our dormitories.
Now, UNM officials say they are making changes to their policies. They did not have a timeline, though, of when those changes will be in place. They said it definitely will not be before the start of this fall semester, but hope to have things done by at least the end of this year. Trevor?
Okay, Zach, yeah, remember the semester starts this month now that we are, in fact, in August. In the meantime, our team coverage continues tonight with Cassie Foote, who is outside of the Casas del Rio student housing complex. Cassie, sadly enough, this is not the first time a student has been shot and killed on campus. We saw it, in fact, less than 3 years ago.
Unfortunately, that's right. Mike Peake, a former New Mexico State basketball player, shot and killed UNM student Brandon Travis during a fight in a parking lot on campus in November of 2022. Now, Peake didn't face any charges for that shooting because investigators determined that he acted in self-defense. That shooting stemmed from a fight earlier that fall at a football rivalry game between the Lobos and the Aggies. I asked President Garnett Stokes what the university learned from that shooting, what safety changes they put in place, and if any of those changes were enacted at the time of last week's shooting. She didn't say if there were any physical changes on campus to improve safety because of that incident, but she did say the 2 schools' athletics departments put an effort to address the culture between the teams and the fans.
Some of the changes that were made there really boiled down to changes that took place with the way in which the New Mexico State and the UNM athletic departments work together with each other to deal with aggressiveness and fighting that might take place.
Stokes also says gun violence isn't just a UNM problem, it's a societal problem. So given that knowledge, I asked what UNM leaders are doing specifically to prevent guns from being brought on campus. What she had to say to that question coming up tonight at 10, and all the questions that we did not get clear answers to, as well as we waited a week to hear from university leaders. Trevor?
First of all, fewer guns, right, and less violence. So that's a fact. Two, they're not supposed to have guns and minors at a college campus. So we have to really talk to every one of our higher education institutions. You got to tighten up these areas because it's a real issue. And third, it's another reminder to the legislature. 4 days of every week and growing to 5, I have a violent crime committed by a juvenile with, or a young adult, an 18-year-old, with a firearm or weapon.
That, of course, was our governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, responding to our question about the deadly shooting at UNM's campus. The governor pointed, though, to ongoing issues with teen crime. However, that is not currently expected to be part of a proposed special session. The governor says she is looking to address that in January's 30-day session. As for what will be in the special session, our Emily Faith is going to join us to talk about that in just a few moments. But tonight there are still, of course, many questions about the shooting at UNM. We will have continuing team coverage here on TV, on KOB, and online at KOB.com.